Hi, and welcome to Tech Tips with Sold Out Media. I'm Amanda. Today I have for you the Blackmagic 6K Pro versus the C70 from Canon. These cameras are both cinema cameras. They're both great quality cameras, but there's a lot of differences between them. So we thought we'd go through and talk a little bit about them. I think that we've mentioned before some things. First of all, price is a big thing. With the C70, you're talking 50, 60,000 Swedish crowns or $5,000-6,000 versus the Blackmagic, which is only about $2,200. Lenses for the EOS C70 takes the R-mount lenses, right? So they're going to be a lot more expensive than some of the EF glass that you can get. You're going to save a lot of money going with the Blackmagic solution, but what are you going to lose in that case, or what's the trade-off? So we went out, we shot with these guys. The first thing that I wanted to test was the RAW versus the log. So we did C-Log 3 in the C70, and we did the RAW in the Blackmagic. And here, it's kind of hard to say who was the winner. This is what I found. Both did a great job in recovering highlights. Both did a great job in bringing up the low. But the Blackmagic camera, I found, was a lot more grainy with the low. We did 4 stops underexposed, 4 stops overexposed on both cameras. And what I really saw was a lot of grain in the Blackmagic when you underexposed it. But again, I think it did a better job on the highlights than the C70 did. I think, too, one of the biggest advantages when it comes to the Blackmagic is it actually comes with a full studio license for DaVinci Resolve 17. And that's great. In fact, the codec that you get, the RAW, or being able to record in RAW with the Blackmagic, you have to use DaVinci 17 with that. So they provided that in-box for you, a license for it. You can actually go into the settings in DaVinci Resolve, and you can actually change the ISO that you recorded on, because it's recording all of that data in the background. But I still couldn't, even though I changed the ISO settings, I could get rid of some of the noise in the picture, but as you can see here, I couldn't get rid of all of the noise. So I felt that the C70 really still had the edge when it came to saving the underexposed footage. Overexposed footage, maybe the Blackmagic had a bit more of an edge than the C70, but look, both of them are great at recovering footage. I'll say this about the C70, I wish that it shot RAW. I think it's the one disadvantage of it as a camera, but we can talk more about that later. Okay, so next up, we took the slow-mo side by side. We did 120 frames per second, and you can see both cameras do beautiful slow-mo. They're excellent at what they do. I think that I couldn't call a winner between these. It's gorgeous slow-mo. Only thing I would say, though, is if you're willing to sacrifice some of your resolution with the C70, you can actually get up to 180 frames per second of slow-mo. So next up, in-body stabilization with these two cameras. The Blackmagic doesn't really have an in-body stabilization per se, and you have to rely on the stabilization that the lens has. That being said, my camera guy did a pretty decent job holding it, and then I tried myself to hold it as steady as possible, and it's as expected. The only thing is that maybe you can actually crop in a little bit more in post with it, because you can shoot all the way up to 6K with this guy. C70, once you turn on that digital stabilization, smooth as butter. It's very good. So C70 wins definitely when it comes to handheld footage with this. Another great advantage with the C70, those batteries last for 3 hours, the stock battery that comes with it. And you can get a bigger battery that can go longer than that. Whereas the Blackmagic, you really need that battery grip if you're not going to use the plug-in power for it, because the batteries do not last long at all, maybe an hour max. So make sure that you guys invest in the battery grip if you're going to go with the Blackmagic. It still keeps you well under the price of the C70. These two cameras, both of these have the latest updates on them. The Blackmagic has the latest version of it, so it should also have better tracking, follow focus, autofocus, follow focus. The C70 has the update that just came out the other day. And side by side, I really have to give the edge to the C70 here in the focus tracking. it kept on Jake better than the Blackmagic did by far. And you can actually see here, Jake could get all the way to the edge of the frame and you can see that the focus is following him. Yeah, so then some practical things about these cameras. The C70 is way more comfortable to hold than the Blackmagic. The Blackmagic's a little bulkier. It's a very awkward shape, whereas the C70, it just feels so natural. And even when you put the top handle that it comes with on it, you can do so much more. You feel more secure with it. And that actually would help too with the stabilization if you were trying to do a handheld shot. In terms of the ND filters, they both have built-in NDs. They both work great. There's nothing to say more than it's just great to have built-in NDs, opposed to having to use an ND filter on the end of the lens and having to mess around with that. You don't want to touch your lens so often because it does cause, even if you're super gentle, it can cause shake in your shot, whereas the buttons I find are way smoother to just sort of gently touch. When it comes to audio, they both have the mini XLR inputs for audio. But again, like, you have a huge advantage having these cameras opposed to an EOS R5 or, some of the Sony cameras, the mirrorless ones. You actually can have the audio with you right in camera and not have to rely on a micro jack. XLRs are way better for giving you better quality input. I don't know if anybody out there argues with that, but my experience is those micro jacks, the 3.5 millimeter jacks, they can wiggle quite a lot more, and over time they can wear out. So I find the XLRs are more reliable by far. These two cameras, they both have great bright LCD screens. I think the edge is definitely going to go to the Blackmagic here though, because it's such a big screen. It's so easy to see, and it's so easy to find things on it. The Canon has a smaller LCD screen. It's still bright. I don't struggle with it too much, but I think other people might compared to the Blackmagic. That leads me to the next thing. The screens themselves, the touch functions, the menus. The Blackmagic has a way easier to understand workflow than the Canon does. The Canon is, if you're a first-time cinema camera user, the Blackmagic is the way to go. The Canon is complicated, just hands down. Yeah, so there you have it, guys. Like, the Blackmagic camera is great for your money, and you actually do get some advantages over a camera like the C70. And I can only imagine if we put the FX3, the Sony, in here, it has an even smaller LCD screen, if I'm not mistaken. So you're going to definitely win with a Blackmagic camera if that's what you're going for. But talking about workflow, I use the R lenses universe. So for me, the C70 was a great step. I really like the advantages I have in the C70 in terms of how many codecs I can use and how the workflow works with my current workflow. That being said, if you're editing in DaVinci, the Blackmagic is terrific. You can shoot that raw footage and you can get, imagine you're only paying 2,000 crowns to be able to get a cinema camera that shoots raw, right? Whereas I have a $5,000 camera that doesn't shoot raw. So great job for the Blackmagic. Overall, I like both of these cameras. Depends on what you're looking for, but you're not going to be sorry if you get either of them. But if you're trying to save money, Blackmagic is definitely okay. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. We have both of these cameras in our office, so we can test whatever you like. Just don't ask me to throw them in the ocean. I know they're not waterproof, okay? So have a great day, like and subscribe.